we are here tonight. If we can get this up and running, we've had some tech issues, but we're working on it. If we can get this up and running, then we're gonna show the love tonight about our leaders. So if you can hear me, go ahead and type in the comments. Hello, hello. Am I here? Did I make it this time? I am getting some notes here on the sidelines from my friends that we are up and running and live finally. If you can hear me and if you can see my face and if you are ready for some awesome Girl Scout programming tonight, please go ahead and comment below. Give us your troop number or maybe a general idea of where you're from or what your first name is. Safely, of course, in our internet chats. But my name is Jess, and I am coming here tonight to you to show the love, and we're going to work our way towards a patch. But in the first couple of minutes here, we're just going to get everybody settled in. So as you're joining us tonight, go ahead and comment in the chat. In just a minute, I will go through our supply list. But first and foremost, big thanks to my team for getting us up and running online. If you were with us last week, 2 weeks ago, we had some tech issues. Thanks to Sam and Brittany and Karen and Jackie and Christine and everyone who has gotten us through this. So I am thrilled. If there's anything that I know, it's that Girl Scouts stick with it until we figure it out. We are a team. So here we are. We are coming to you live tonight to do some crafts and show how cool it is to be part of a team who are lifting each other up and making things happen when things don't go as planned. So welcome, welcome. Right now, I cannot see any of your chats. I don't know if that's just my computer or something else, but I do have my awesome friend Brittany who is keeping an eye on the chat as well. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like to add in there, she'll help me keep an eye. If you have any questions or anything like that, just let us know. And I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. So, all right, let's do a couple of icebreaker questions. If you are out there tonight and you are ready to get started with us, answer me this in the chat. Would you rather be a world-class chef or a really special doctor? If you have one of those, go ahead and put them in the chat. That would be awesome. And let's see what some of our answers are. If I can get my chat to come up here. Let me see, because I'd love to hear what you guys are saying. All right. All right, so let's try a second. Let's do our second icebreaker here. Let's see. Would you rather be an engineer or an artist? So, I should probably answer for me. So I think I'd like to be a world-class chef. I love food. I'm always excited to be in the kitchen and cook things. Tonight when I'm done on here, I get to go make some cheesecake. An engineer or an artist? Oh, that's a tough one. I love to tinker, but I also love to be super creative with my art. So I think I'd probably have to mix the two with that one. And that's an okay answer too. If you can't decide, you can do both. All right. All right, one last one of these, and then we'll get started into our mix here. Would you rather be a piano player or a woodworker carpenter? Both of them you get to work with your hands, but one is musical, one is more crafty. I couldn't decide between those two, but I think I'd have to go with piano player. So thank you all for joining me tonight. I'm so thrilled to be here. And my name is Jess, and we are going to be showing the love tonight. Tonight, we are going to talk about all the different leaders in our lives, what leaders look like, how we can be leaders, and also how we can thank those amazing leaders who help us through every day. April is Volunteer Appreciation Month. And we know in Girl Scouts, we have a ton of volunteer leaders who help us out all the time. Our troop leaders, our volunteers all throughout Girl Scouts are always here to help us go on cool adventures, to help us work on our badges and patches, to do all sorts of amazing things that help us grow as people. And so sometimes we want to take that opportunity to tell them how much we appreciate them and how thankful we are that they are our leaders. If you're not a Girl Scout and you're on here joining us tonight, there are tons of different leaders that you have in your life. And so I would love it if everyone in the comments could please share a leader that's in your life that's important to you, or a leadership quality, something that makes someone a leader. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that. And I'm going to get ready to go through the supply list with you all. All right, so please keep them coming in the comments while I go through the list. That's okay. We'd love to hear all about the different types of leaders. Our craft list tonight, if you're going to join us for that, you're going to need, please and thank you, about 5 to 10 pages of just regular paper. This can be copy paper. This can be notebook paper. I happen to have some fun colored copy paper that I'm going to use here. All right. You're also going to need a piece of cardstock, which is the heavier duty paper. You could also use a cereal box or a piece of cardboard or even a brown paper bag. Whatever you have is fine. All right, so we'll set those to the side. You will need a piece of scrap paper to do a little exercise we're going to do first. Then you will need some scissors, some string or ribbon, or a stapler, and I'll show you different ways to use all of these. You don't have to have all of it, staplers and ribbon and string, just one of those will work. And then you're going to need some decorating things. You will need some pencils, crayons, markers, colored pencils, any of that sort of stuff, so that you can get creative. You can also have stickers. You can, whatever sounds exciting to you, whatever you like to. All right, you're also going to need a piece of cardstock. You can also have stickers. You can, whatever sounds exciting to you, whatever you like to. All right, you're also going. Oh, I'm back. Sorry for that. I was trying out another way to maybe be able to see your comments tonight, but then it started playing my voice on top of my voice, and that will not help anybody very much tonight at all. So I will try to peek in on your comments here again in a few minutes. All right, so paper, cardstock, scissors, stapler, or hole punch and string. That'll be to bind our notebooks together. We're making DIY notebooks to share with our leaders as thank you gifts. And you'll need some decorating items. So in our comments and in your heads, probably you've thought about some leaders. We know in Girl Scouts, we have amazing leaders that get through everything that help us get through everything that we like to do, that help us try new things, that help us go on adventures, and just guide us through life in really cool, amazing ways. And we want to show them how grateful we are for that. So tonight we're going to make a craft that you may decide to send or share with your troop leader. If you're not a Girl Scout and you want to share this with another leader, think of all the other different leaders that we have in our lives. Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up just next week. Those are great, excellent leaders in our lives. And we also have very close to us leaders in many families, leaders that are very close to us. There's a holiday in May and a holiday in June for these particular leaders. And you might not think of them as leaders, but I'm going to give you a second in the comments to see if any of you might be able to guess what specific leaders you might celebrate in May and June from our families. But whoever you choose, this could be your next door neighbor who leads you in some way. This could be a teacher, a troop leader, somebody that you look up to just in some way. They may not even know that they have led you in some way. But you're going to get to make them a fun craft to show your thanks. And we will get back to that here in just a few minutes. All right, so let's talk about what makes a leader. All right, I want you to take that scrap piece of paper that you have. All right, And before we write anything down on it, we will here in a minute, I want you to think about someone in your life, one person. We've talked about different types of leaders, but one particular person in your life that is a really special leader. And I want you to start to think, why are they important to you and what have they done for you that makes them a leader? And I would like you to write their name right in the center of the page. All right? Let me see. Who am I going to put down? I'm going to put one down. And if you didn't get the holidays in May and June that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, this one might give it away. So here's mine. All right. Some of you may think Mom is a leader. Some of you may have chosen another leader. It may be your troop leader's name. It may be your teacher's name. Whoever you have is fine. So I put Mom down on mine. And around this person's name, I want you to write different ways to describe them. What do they do that makes you smile? What do they do that inspires you? What do they do that helps you get excited about an activity? These can be one-word answers. These can be sentences, whatever you like. Just quickly jot down some words around that name, kind of like a word bubble, word cloud kind of thing, that really show what this person means to you and why. All right. And think about how they support you, what cool things you've done together. Any of those sorts of things will work. All right. So hopefully this will start getting the gears turning about why you would like to thank this person. Volunteer Appreciation Month, Leader Appreciation, all of this is so important so that we can show people that they have impacted us. And I bet, whether you guys know it or not, most of you out there are a leader to somebody else too. All right? Whether it's in your classroom or in the organizations that you participate in, or even just in your family, there are probably things that you do that inspire someone else and help them and lead them. So I want you to be thinking about, this goes both ways. Like, we can lead others and they can lead us, and it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. So you have this page, I think, probably now, with a name in the center and all sorts of different descriptions around the outside, okay? Now I want you to take that piece of paper and set it aside. We're going to come back to this at the very end, all right? But you just set this aside for right now, okay? Let's get into some crafting. Who would like to make some thank you little mini notebooks for the leaders and inspirational people in your life? I hope that's all of you. That's what we're going to do here tonight. So the very first thing that I would like you to do is I would like you to make sure that your cardstock piece, whether it is your cardboard or your cereal box or your brown paper bag, you have that, and you want it to be the same size as your standard paper so that they fit together. All right? If it's not already the same size, lay your paper down on top. All right? And then you can trace it or cut around it so they are the same size. All right, and I'll give everybody a moment to do that here so that you can get to that place. All right, it might take everybody a minute or two. That's perfectly okay. All right, I'm going to adjust my notes here so that I don't lose track of anything. So while we're getting our covers ready, that heavy duty part's going to make a really nice cover to our page. If you're using a brown paper bag, you'll want to make sure that if there's writing or anything on it from the store, that you turn that so that you don't see it, so that is up against the paper, so that your cover is nice and clear so that you can decorate it. All right? Same with your cereal box if you're cutting out cardboard from a cereal box. All right? So if I go too fast for anyone, you can always come back and check this out later. This will be up on Facebook. You can always ask questions for clarification in the chat if you have any questions. Brittany will be happy to help. But I'm going to move on to the next step for anybody who is ready for that. So we have our cardstock, heavier part here, or our brown paper bag, whatever that is. All right, and then we have our 5 to 10 pages of regular paper. And this could be lined paper, graph paper, copy paper, whatever. Mine just happens to be different colors because my daughter thought it would be really fun. So she's a brownie. She's loving it. So she's somewhere out here joining us tonight. But she thought it would be a great idea to have multicolors, so I did that. And if you go ahead and make these many, many times, you can make the paper whatever colors you happen to have. So I'm going to take all of this together. It's all the same size. And I am going to fold it in half this direction. And you want to make sure that your cover piece is on the outside. You folded your paper inside. All right. So once you have this lined up, heavier duty piece on the outside, cardstock, cardboard, whatever it might be, and paper on the inside, you're going to want to give this a really good crease. So I'm going to use my table over here, and sometimes it helps if you use the pen or a marker. You can go ahead and just run a pen or marker along the table, and that'll help you get a really, really sharp crease on that, which will help us later on. But if you can't do that, that's okay too. All right, so I have a nice sharp fold here with my paper on the inside, all right, and my cardstock on the outside. If you did it and your paper is on the outside, that's okay. Just tuck it inside now, all right? So we have cardstock or cardboard, whatever you're using, paper, 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 and then your back end of your cover, all right? So nice sturdy fold there. All right, and don't worry if it's a little uneven at the bottom. You can always trim that later, okay? So I'm gonna let everybody get it folded. All right, so we have our cover and our paper and a nice crisp fold in it. And the next thing you're gonna need is your scissors. Now, if I have any younger participants out there tonight, this may need a little parent help. Depending on how thick your paper is or your cardboard, you may need some help with scissors. The other thing that will help is if it's too thick for your scissors, you can always take your pieces apart and cut them separately. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hold it long ways, and we wanna cut it right down the middle. All right, my finger didn't go straight, but you wanna cut it as straight as possible. All right, so this will give you 2 notebooks. I'm gonna go ahead and cut mine now. I have 5 pieces of paper in here and a piece of cardstock. And my scissors are getting through it, but it takes a little effort, but it definitely works. All right, so then here's one, and here's the other one. So I'm already on my way to having 2 notebooks. Mine happens to have fun colors there in the middle. Yours may be white. It may be any number of other colors, but you're gonna get to decorate it here in a few minutes anyway, so you get to make it as exciting as you like. The biggest thing that I should have talked about this before, I almost forgot. When we get through the whole evening tonight, once you have made your craft and you have delivered it to a special leader in your life, you will have earned our patch. And it was picture on the opening slide that you saw, the thank you card sent. Now I know we're not making thank you cards. If you've joined us here in the past couple of months, we've made thank you cards a lot for many different people. So we wanted to change it up a little bit. But we thought a nice little notebook would be fun to share. And that's something that they can then take with them and use and jot their own notes down in. So we have discovered what a leader is like, someone in our life that's a leader, what it means to be a leader. We are connecting now by putting ourselves into a craft project, putting in our effort and our love and appreciation. That's what we're doing here. And then we are going to, at the end, when this video is all done, you'll get a chance to take action and go and deliver this to someone who is special to you, and you will have earned your patch, which you can get at any of our GSWPA shops. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions about that. But I'm sorry I didn't say that in the beginning. Better late than never. So now you understand what you have a chance to earn tonight. If you're not a Girl Scout and you're doing this just for the fun of it, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you'd ever like the opportunity to earn patches and badges, don't hesitate to reach out to us and see about joining Girl Scouts yourself. So, all right, let's get on to our next step. Now, the next very, very, very important step to our notebooks is, if anybody can tell me in the comments, what would be the next most important step to this pile I have going on here? Of course, I don't have chat today, and Brittany's on my chat, but do any of you think you know what we might need to do for the next step? Did anyone say binding? or putting it together, because if you did, you would be right. If we left it like this, we have some lovely scrap paper to put notes on, but we do not have a notebook because it's not cinched together yet. So I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. You may want to just watch and see which one you like best so that you can do it here in a minute on your own. Or if you see one that I'm doing right away that you're like, yep, that's the one you want to do, go ahead and get started. I have an answer. Brittany is letting me know that you guys are on it in the chat, and somebody mentioned staples. Absolutely, and that is the first one that I'm going to show tonight. So I have some colored paper here that I cut to show all the different ways that we are going to do our bindings. And you can make these as many times as you want, so maybe you try out all the bindings. So pretend this is your notebook here. Handy dandy stapler. This is the simplest, quickest way that I will show you all night to do the binding. All right, you may love this. This may not be your thing, but it's up to you. So go ahead and take your stapler, and depending on how big your notebook is, you probably want to put 3 or 4 staples in the top, right across the top there. I tried to get mine straight, but I didn't, but it's okay. It'll be lovely. Make sure those staples catch all the paper on the inside. All right, you can test it by shaking it. If any of your papers fall out, you can go ahead and re-staple again or take your staples out once you've put your paper back in. So there we go. We have stapling there. All right, so that's the first one. All right, the second one is if you have, ooh, my scissors ran away. If you have scissors, but you don't have a stapler, all right, and you maybe have a piece of string or a ribbon. So you're gonna cut a little notch in the corner, the edge of your notebooks, all right, the folded edge. And I cut this notch really big so that you could see the first one, all right? You can just cut a little notch. I'm gonna show you a couple more options just so that you can see it, all right? You could also cut it real narrow. This one you can almost not see. I cut it real thin. You'll probably want yours to match. I just wanted to show you different ways to do this, all right? Again, make sure you cut all the way through all the pages, okay? This one then what you'll do is you'll take your string, and from the inside of your notebook, you bring your string up through one notch and let it fall to the front. And then your other end of your string comes up through the second notch. All right, ooh, I got caught on the bottom. All right, so what we have now, all right, is the string is on the inside holding all the papers and the binding together. And on the outside, I have 2 strings, which you can tie together in a pretty knot. You could braid, you could put in a bow, whatever you like. All right, and then you can cut off your extra strings for sure. All right, if you would like with the notches, you could wind these a few times through. So if I just took this and went back down through, oop, lost my string. All right, and then came back up this side again. All right, and you can do it with both ends of your string. I hope I'm holding it in a good place for you all to see. I apologize if I moved it out of the screen there. All right, and then back through. And then as long as your strings come back out to the top where you can tie it, you can loop that through as many times as you want to create a really nice pattern of string there. And then these, I'm just gonna tie in a little knot. I have to take that out of the screen because I can't hold it up and tie it at the same time. So now some of my more advanced crafters out there, I've got some neat things coming up here in just a second for you. So hold tight and we will show you a little bit more fancy. And if you do anything, if any of you are familiar with friendship bracelet knot tying or macrame, if you've ever made like plant holders or anything like that, all of these different things that I'm doing with the strings and the binding, you can play around with all those neat knotting techniques and put some really cool, interesting things into your notebook binding, which can make it kind of unique so that when you give it, it looks, you know, nice and gifty. All right. Also, fun tip, if you would rather make sure that if you'd like to staple it first and then try some of these, you can do both together so that you're not worried about your papers falling out. So I just made a little bow on my thing there, and then you can see, oh, my bow's a little wide. Let's tighten it up a little bit so it looks. All right, so we have a little bow here. All right, you can make it as fancy or as not fancy as you like. All right, so that's binding number 2 in a couple different ways. All right, so if you have a hole punch, some of you will, some of you won't, that's okay. This is similar to the notch idea, but as you can see, we're gonna go straight through the paper instead of cutting on our edge. All right, this is another great one that you can do if you've already stapled and want to put hole punches in the end and do creative things with it. So what we can then do is with string or ribbon. Oh, I almost lost my ribbon. And I lost my hole punch. All right, so the simplest way to do this is to just go ahead and give yourself two hole punches. Easy peasy. Just like before, we're gonna thread it through each hole so that the strings come out on the same side. I'll show you here in just one moment. I happen to have some thin ribbon here. It could still be string. You could do this with twist ties. If you have some of the wire twist ties from bread bags or anything like that, you can also use wire twist ties, which could lead to some very cute patterns and things as well. That works really great if you're going to make a notebook that has a lot of pages in it. So if you ever want to make any bigger ones, remember those. So I've cut my 2 holes in there, and I have the ribbon flat on one side, and I have it up here. Just like with our string where I cut the notches, I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow. Same as before, you could thread it through a couple of times if you like, and make it a little sturdier. All right. If you happen to have curling ribbon, this would be a great time to use the curling ribbon, and you could curl the edges. I did not have curling ribbon today, but a little bow on the end there. All right. And now I have one more, what I am calling the hole punch fancy. All right. Ending that you might want to, or binding that you might want to try. So you take your notebook and your hole punch. You could also do this with cutting the notches. You just have to be very careful how you cut. And what you want to do here is you want to take and put hole punches the whole way across. All right. See how mine aren't quite even, but that's okay. All right. It'll look great once you put your stuff in it. And then you have your ribbon or your string. Here you can do some really nice things. You could put string in each one and put bows the whole way down. You can wrap it like you're stitching. So we're going to do a zigzag, which I'll show you here in just a moment. Ooh. It fell out of the hole punch. All right, and you would just thread it through just like you would if you were sewing. All right. So what you have here is a pretty zigzag that happens, and that goes the whole way around. And you can do this a couple different ways. You can do it once through and put a knot at each end, or, and I'll show you this one, you can loop all the way to the bottom, just continuing through those hole punches, and then go back through again. So I've made it through one whole round. See, now it kind of looks like our spiral bound notebooks. Same idea. And then if you're back at the end here and you want to go back through, you can keep going. And it'll give you a different texture at the top. And you could do this with different colors of ribbon. You could do this with yarn. You could skip holes and go back and forth. All sorts of different things, whatever was exciting and creative to you, then you could do that. All right. So what I would do is I would just keep going back through, and you can make those go in all sorts of different patterns. And then your bow can either go in the center or at the top, depending on how much ribbon you have on either side. All right. So here we have all these different ways to bind our notebooks. All right. I would love to hear in the comments if some of you have a favorite that you chose or that you are trying. And don't worry, if you try one and it doesn't work, it's okay. It's paper and ribbon. It's, you know, it's a couple pages of paper, and it's not, you know, it's just something that happens. So try different ways, see what works for you. But if you have a favorite, I would love to hear it in the comments. If you are enjoying how your notebook looks at any point in time, feel free to share a photo with us. We would love to see that. You can put that in the comments as well. Yeah, so here we are with a bound notebook. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take one of mine that has all of my paper in it that I didn't bind and just go ahead and do a quick staple. Later, I'm going to go ahead and put the hole punches in it so that I can put some more fun ribbon in and all of that. All right, but I now have a bound notebook with staples. All right, so it's not going anywhere, and we can flip through our pages. All right, now here comes the really fun part, and this is where you get to make this all about you and your leader, whoever that is that you are celebrating tonight and who you are going to gift this to. This can be your creative style. You can color, you can put stickers on it, you can write messages. Maybe the front of yours, you want to have great big thank you on the front because that's what you want them to see first. Maybe you want to draw a picture of an adventure that you went on. You could draw that on the front cover. Maybe you just want to write handy dandy notebook on the front of your notebook. Whatever you like, you get to make it as creative as you want. You also have another really cool choice. You can decide whether you want to leave the pages blank or if you wanted to make this notebook as a memory book for you and your leader. Maybe you want to put special phrases on the inside of some of the pages, just that you are special, you matter, you have inspired me. Little comments like that. Could you imagine flipping through a notebook that you think is just blank paper and every once in a while there's this surprise message on the bottom of one of the pages? I think that would be super special if that's something that you are interested in doing. But again, you can leave the inside plain so that they can use those for their own note pages. I know me, I love to carry a notebook around in my backpack. It's real quick if all of a sudden I have to like take a note about something. I mean, I know we all take notes on our phones. I know that there's a lot of that, but having a notebook handy where you can write something down is sometimes quicker and it's nice. And of course it's special when it was handmade by somebody like you. So get creative, see what you would really like to do and what you think the leader that you're giving this to would really enjoy. So I hope you're having fun. I hope we're getting some good comments in the chat about our favorite bindings or some other bindings we might like to try. If you have a creative idea for how you might bind it that I didn't go over tonight, please share it in the comments. I know the other crafters here with us tonight would love to have creative ideas. So if you have another idea like the twist tie or anything like that, go ahead and put it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. You know, or if you've decided some phrases that you're going to put in your book or on the front of your book, we'd love to hear about that too. All right, let me make sure that I'm not forgetting anything, and I'm going to give you all a moment to craft and catch up from wherever you are. All right, so the other thing that you can do once you're all done with this is you know, share this with other friends of yours. If you have troop members that might like to make the DIY notebooks, if you have friends that might like to team up and make notebooks for teachers, any of those sorts of things, this is a craft that some of you, I bet many of you, could teach someone else to do. Whether you're teaching mom or dad how to do it, or you're teaching your classmates or your other troop mates. You know, walk them through the steps of how to make it and how to do a binding. And you only have to show them one binding if that's the one you like and you know how to do. But it would be a neat experience for you also to teach that to someone else and have them have the opportunity to give a notebook or keep one for themselves, because that's okay too. You guys could all make notebooks for yourselves also. But you have an opportunity to share this, and maybe, who knows, you might find you have some awesome friends who want to team up and just say thank you to a whole bunch of leaders. Or one leader a whole bunch of times. You can do that too. And it makes it a fun group project. If any of you are still at the point where you still have to be social distanced in certain situations, then this is a great project for that too. Obviously, we can do it virtually. These are things that you can, with help of parents and permission, you know, you could drop on someone's porch, you could put in the mail, any of those sorts of things. So we always want to make sure that we're doing this safely and respectfully. But there are lots of different ways to do this project. I don't know if any of you have ever been on screen before, but sometimes I say a lot. We've all been there. So I just want to let you know that you're not alone if that ever happens to you too. So I have had an awesome time here with you tonight, and we're not done yet, but I just wanted to say thank you all for coming out. And if you have any questions about any of the things that we're doing here tonight, or any of the things that Girl Scouts do in general, please don't hesitate to ask. You can comment below and Brittany can share some links or information with you. You can message us here on Facebook and our team will get back to you. And we also have our 1-800 number and our email address for our customer care for Girl Scouts of Western PA. And we are always, always, always happy to help current members find activities or neat things to do, new members find a place in a troop, or any of the other different cool things that we're doing. We have big national projects that happen, that are coming up. We have individual projects that happen with small troops and every layer in between. So whatever you are most interested in, we can surely find something in the council that would be exciting for you, we hope. And we'd love to have you come join us. So I hope you will, consider joining us or add some more activities that you might like to come out and join us with if you're already a Girl Scout. So as you're crafting, if you come to a good stopping point that you would like to go back to another activity with me, you may. Otherwise, you may keep crafting and you can just listen and do this part later. So many of you started with the list or the word cloud that I started with us in the beginning. And you have a leader's name in the center, and you have some ideas around that leader's name that are why they are a leader. The things that they have done for you, or the things that they have inspired in you that are all around. And this activity comes from another another great Girl Scout friend of mine named Kate. And so I just want to shout out her as a thank you for this. I want each of you to take this piece of paper and set it down in front of you and grab your pen, because you have one more thing to add to this piece of paper. All right, right underneath that leader's name, I would like you very carefully and very thoughtfully to write your name. And you might be wondering why. All right, but I want you to look at the leader's name and your name underneath it. And I want you to look at all of the things that you wrote. And chances are there's a lot of those things that you wrote that are things that are in you too. All right? You are an inspiration to people, whether you know it or not yet. You have the opportunity to be a leader in your life. Whether that is something as big as someday becoming the President of the United States of America, or if that is something much more low-key and you lead by being an example in your community and picking up trash on the sidewalk when you are out and about so that it is cleaning up your community, or you lead in your classroom by being a good example about how to be respectful and to be a good friend, or you lead by starting a cool project in your neighborhood where there's a need for something. You have all of these same opportunities, and chances are you are already showing many, many, many of these qualities. So I want you to remember that you have the chance to be a leader every day. And one of the cool things about becoming our own leaders, leaders ourselves, after having these leaders that have taught us, is that that's a pretty cool way of saying thank you to them as well. If you can think about it for just a minute and you have a chance in the chat, tell me why you think being a leader and a good example would be a thank you to the leaders in your life. I want to see if you can tell me why you think that might be true. I'm going to give you a minute because I think you've got it in you. Some of you might be crafting, and that's okay too, because I know I said you guys could do this part later. One of the reasons why it is a thank you to the leaders around us is that we're living by what they taught us. We're living by example. We are going out and doing all of the cool, amazing things that they lifted us up to and taught us how to do. So that is a huge way to say thank you as well. When we live by example and we go on and we spread that to the rest of the world. So, yeah, so I want you, this little piece of paper, that's a scrap piece of paper. You can have that for yourself and you can kind of think of that later. Your notebooks, you'll want to design and get super creative and think about who you're going to share them with. And then chat with the adults in your life about how you're going to get them to them. If you're going to drop them off, if you're going to mail them, if you're going to do a surprise on somebody's porch, whatever that might be. We are coming up to the end here. We're going to wrap things up. If there are any other questions, you certainly can put those in the chat. You are free to leave and come and go as you please. It's Facebook Live, so it'll be here. I know some of us are coming up on, dinner time or bedtime or anything like that. So I'm just so glad that you came out and joined me tonight and my team who got me up and running with all the tech. So thank you very much. And I hope this has given you a fun craft to do for yourself, to teach others, and to say thank you to somebody. So I hope you will go out and show the love to the leaders in your life, whether that's your troop leaders, other Girl Scout volunteers, the teachers, the parents in your life, any organizational leaders that you have in the different groups that you participate in. So thank you all. You have been amazing. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have fun. So thank you, and have a great, awesome evening.